Welcome to this week's edition of Penn State Presser. Corey Geiger is still in Philadelphia with his newborn, so I'm Neil Rudel, joined by our special guest Mike Poorman, an old friend from statecollege.com. Mike also taught the Joe Paterno course here for many years at the university. We're fresh from Bill O'Brien's weekly press conference. Just to recap some of the highlights, he continues to shoulder the responsibility each week when things don't go well. He's the first guy to say he needs to do a better job, and that was real specific to the red zone.
Yeah, it was, and I think it's admirable that he's saying that, especially the first week, but I think there might be a tinge of that's the reality, especially when you're getting the plays in, having some questions. He's talking about simplifying the play calling, and I think that's on his shoulders as far as maybe bringing from the pros much more sophisticated logistics than the younger guys can handle.
Yeah, because he talked about getting it in and giving McGloin a fighting chance at the line of scrimmage, either to change the play or to be able to read more time on the play clock.
Yeah, and I think there's even the fact that we saw Dukes in for 10 carries. Dukes missed all of the spring, was struggling some in the summer to capture some of the offense. So I think it's going to help him get more people involved, especially perhaps Jones comes in either as a quarterback or tight end. A simplified system is going to get your big guys, your real talented skill guys, into the game. That's the key.
Yeah, now I don't want to quite bury the lead, and some of that was Sam Ficken's missing 4 field goals last week. Ficken, all makeable field goals. O'Brien said Ficken they have an open competition each week, but Ficken has won the job each week. He did mention the possibility that the snapper could change, but he said all these guys have to win their job each week. So he's clearly standing behind his kicker, Sam Ficken.
Well, Emery's been here a number of years as a snapper, so I think that's big of O'Brien to look at that. But for me, the key line that I underlined is Sam's the best we have. And that's damning him, I think, with faint praise at this point. And I think that's really the predicament that he's in, that he's our guy. We got to go with him. We're not going to grab, there's 2 state high kids, one walking around campus, one is a walk-on of the team, who've been mentioned as possibilities. Sam's the best we have.
Yeah, now he seems to have a strong enough leg, and we didn't get to the specifics of who is it that is coaching the place kickers, but Bill said today, he pointed out a technicality in the way Ficken was approaching the ball in his plant foot. So obviously some of these guys on this staff have been around kicking and had some responsibility. So he seemed confident that Ficken would get better.
Well, that's a great point. I talked to Ficken on press day, did a story on him, really quiet, mild-mannered, unassuming guy, and I asked who was coaching him. And overall, Butler oversees the special teams, but he has a swing coach, a guy that I have never heard of. And I'm going to go back in my notes and see who this guy is. That's the guy that specifically is giving him the kicking advice, the hands-on coaching.
O'Brien,
the guy may no longer be employed.
O'Brien emphasized that it should not have come down to that the offense needed to punch in a touchdown. He called it ridiculous that they weren't able to score inside the red zone. They scored 3 points on 4 turnovers. So that was clearly a point of emphasis. He mentioned he'd still like to redshirt Akeel Lynch if he can. Because Belton and Day, he praised Day for how hard he ran against Virginia. Both those guys are very questionable for this week.
Yeah, and I think even to backtrack what you're talking, great point, 3 points out of 4 times in the red zone. I think what he hinted at today as far as calling 4th down, really starting that on 3rd down. I think you're going to see much more of a 4-down territory there, where whether he's taking his shot and coming back or really trying to get halfway. I think from 30, 20 in, that's definitely 4-down territory rather than figuring to settle for the field goal.
Yeah, in a lot of ways they don't have anything to lose. It's not like a bowl bid is on the line. They lead the conference in 4th down attempts. They've made 5 of 7 already. But he also said that once they get inside the 50, that they're not going to punt a lot. He doesn't have a lot of confidence in Butterworth, although he got off a pretty good one toward the end of the Virginia game.
Which was a touchback.
Yeah. But this is a little bit sacrilegious to say that you're not going to punt inside the 50, because it was one of it was one of the program's best offensive plays for many years. They would pooch it down inside the 10 and have the defense pin them in, and then give the offense a short field. So I thought that kind of fascinating.
Yeah, the paradigm has shifted. I mean, I think it's interesting. It's just 2 games, but they've gone for it on 4th 7 times and punted 8 times. So it's a 50-50 proposition. And I think the other thing with that is that it's a number of things that he's doing as a coach that are a little outside the lines, a little outside the box on how he's approaching things. And that's just one of a number of things that we can start to see somewhat of a style develop from Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, very intense on the sideline, willing to take a chance, faked the punt, ran an early flea flicker. I like some of the way they approach offense.
Yeah, I think it's setting the stage for how he's going to approach things. I think over the next several years about a huge Paul Jones at a tight end or a huge Gerald Hodges returning punts. I mean, those type of things I think they're going to be a lot more common and a lot more exciting to the players and certainly the fans. That's going to be key, I think, in years 2 and 3.
Okay, we're going to Navy. Penn State's a 6.5-point favorite. Mike, how about if we put you on the spot for your prediction?
I see Penn State winning 7 to 8 points, fairly close, but not overwhelming. This is not an offense. A breakout game for this offense is 21, 24 points.
Yeah, I picked it 24-10, mainly to stay ahead of Mark Brennan in the nitwit race to be the nitwit of the year. So we'll see. I got a game up on him already, and but I think the defense had played so well, and coming home, I think they'll get some energy on that, and I think they'll improve some of the areas that they didn't play so well against Virginia, just as the defense improved against Ohio U.
So what's the over-under on Allen Robinson, how many catches?
Geez, he definitely has more than Justin Brown. He has 19 for the season, although I didn't think he played his best game on Saturday.
Did not.
He still made 10 catches.
He did not. He's still a young puppy, though, too. I think you got to look at that.
Well, Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being had.
Okay, for Mike Poorman and Corey Geiger, who's lurking out there, he'll be back probably next week. And Tim Shane behind the camera, I'm Neil Rudel saying thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.